Hi, it's Jez here from Nigezza.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. So I'm going to bring you a jelly print video today, and I'm going to be making these. So I watch Kerry the Crafter. He does some great jelly print videos, and he showed you how to make these. And so I followed it and had a go. So I make this one with you, and then I use it. So stay tuned, and I will link to Kerry's video down below as well. So if you're into jelly printing, I do recommend looking at him. I have watched shed loads of other people as well, but I've not seen anybody else do this. So yeah, stay tuned and see what I make. Okay, so I wanted something to make marks whilst I was jelly plating. So I watch Kerry Griffiths. He does a sort of a jelly plate series, and he just plays and shows us what he's doing, and it's fascinating. And in one of his videos, he showed us how to make a plate to make marks. So this one's drying. I've literally just made it. So what I used was some chipboard, just the stuff that we get in our DSP packs. This was from the foil sheets. So that's excellent. So every time you get speciality paper, mainly you get the chipboard from. It's quite a thick one, this one, which might be better because they will get wet, so maybe a bit of thickness. I think I used that before. And I'm going to cut it to the size of my gel plate, which is 10 by 8, just so it fits the whole of the plate. So 10. So I'm going to use my big guillotine for this. There was 2 in that. No wonder it felt thick. Flipping heck, Jez. That'll do for another one. So where were we? 10. Let's just neaten that up a bit now. Not that it really matters. 10 by 8. And that's the size of my gel plate. Kerry uses a 12 by 12 one. And so if you've got a 12 by 12 plate, use the whole sheet. So there I am with my 10 by 8 ready to go. And then you may recognise that I used the butterfly wings dies. So I used that one, and I die cut them out of funky foam. So just this fun funky foam. Funky foam, I think, is the trade name. This isn't real funky foam. This is, I think I got a pack from the pound shop, actually. So you can pick them up really, really cheap. I've got tons of it. It's not something that I use anymore very much, but it works for this. So there you can see I cut out the butterflies. I'm going to do some circles for this one. So I'm taking my circle dies and I'm just going to cut circles. It doesn't matter where they are on this sheet, because they're obviously going to get cut out. So I'm going to cut them all out, if I can fit them all on here. Yeah, I'm not going to do the scallop ones, just these ones. So I'm going to run that through my die cutter, and I'll probably need to do another sheet, because even spread out that might not be enough. So that's those cut out. So I think I need some more, but it's not quite full enough. And the other thing that Kerry did was he then used the dies to cut out other circles. So instead of cutting more, because I want some smaller ones here, I can cut these out of these bigger ones. So I've got smaller ones, and I've got some interesting patterns in these bigger ones as well, which is quite cool. I might use some of the offcuts I've got here to cut some more out as well. So I'm going to get those sorted. So that's all my circles cut out. I did run these through a second time, so I cut it out once and then run it through a second time to cut the middle out, and it really flattened. And I discovered that actually not all funky foam is the same thickness, and the red is quite thin, so the blue's quite thin as well, to be fair. So I did some of them again, just running it through the once. So I used a big circle and a little circle and ran it through at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to stick them down. I'm going to use Collard glue because it's non-water based. And yeah, don't know why. That's just what I chose to do. I watched when I watched Kerry, he used Mod Podge, and I thought, well, I've got a bit of Mod Podge, and he used it as well to sort of seal it all. And I've had my pot of Mod Podge years and years and years. Haven't used it for years, and there was only about half an inch worth in the bottom of the pot. It was completely dry, so couldn't use that. So what I did on the other one, which is drying on the windowsill right now, is I stuck the butterflies down with this, and then I painted over the top in clear PVA to sort of give it a layer. I didn't water it down. I used to do crafts with the kids. We used to watch Art Attack. I don't know if anybody remembers Art Attack. And we then used to do the Art Attacks. Oh, that one's already down. Collard doesn't stick straight away, so you do get a little bit of wiggle room. And he used to do everything with watered down acrylic PVA. I got some clear PVA. Normally I buy the white stuff, but I bought the clear stuff for a change. I saw somebody use it. You know what you like, you watch somebody on a video and you go, oh, I might get some of that. And I quite like the fact that it didn't dry straight away, because I can move things. Yeah, do that. Yeah, and it used to dry really hard, and it used to give it a nice sort of shiny. It used to like seal we used to use powder paint that you mix with water, and it used to seal it. So yeah, that's what we did. And we've still got, my eldest is 30, and we've still got some of his makes. I've still got some of my youngest makes as well, but he's not as old, so I was just saying that for emphasis on the fact that it's lasted a long time. So yeah, so I was thinking, using that logic, that the PVA would work. Oh, that's a straight line. Don't like that. Do that. Yeah, and the reason why you want to seal it is because you're going to be dipping this into paint, mainly acrylic paint, but paint nevertheless. So it was just to give it a little bit of protection, because I'd quite like this to work and be used and used and used. Don't want to make one of these every time. which is why I chose a nice thick bit of the chipboard, grey board, whatever you call it. Did do that one, didn't I? Yeah. I say they do does take. Oh, that's the same size, isn't it? I'm not sure I like that. There. That makes me feel a bit better. So, oh, I'd already stuck that. There we go. So I say having a bit of wiggle room is, oh, I haven't stuck those down. What am I like? So yeah, so that is how these were made. I could leave that without this in the middle, but I think that's quite cool. Reminds me very much of 1970s wallpaper. So that's them all on there. Yeah, that's them all on there. And then what I did leave it to dry slightly, was I just then put a bit of this on. Just going to do top bit to show you because it isn't quite dry, and I'm just using my silicone spreader, and I'll just spread it, making sure that the top of the foam is covered to seal it, as well as the board around. So I just added more where required. I mean, you can see the colour there, that's not on it. I might just put a little bit there on a silicone brush. So and that's what I did over it all, and then left it to dry. And it is taking quite a while to dry, because today, when I quite like things to be quicker, it's not as warm. It's fairly warm. I've just said that now, and the sun's come out. The sun went out a minute ago. I mean, it's still hot, but there is no blazing sunshine coming through the front window as there has been for weeks. So it's not going to dry as quick. So that's that, and then I'm just going to move that to the side. So I've got these bits, so I thought I could sort of trim these and make some strips, which was another sort of just cut some strips. I'm going to vary the width, and then position these on some chipboard to make another interesting design. And when you're making like this, it's going to be strips myself, I can then scan the results of these, because I'm not using a die that'll have a copyright. I'm just cutting strips that I will then randomly place. So it will be my own design. So if I like the results I get from it, I can scan it and then print it and use it over and over again. And then some of these I could snip that off. Cut my nail at the same time. So I could just stick them on like so. Have some really random shapes going on. That would be very unique and very my own. So yeah, and you can take your bit of card and you can draw lines, or like in this case I could use the grid to sort of make sure that I'm going in a straight line if I wanted to. To keep it straight, I could have some going in different directions. Could have a right old mix, could chop them down. You could even, if you wanted to, have them go in diagonally. So lots of different ways that you can create these boards, and like I say, you can use random shapes. So I could just stick these shapes on in any way I wanted and create patterns that way, just to get some interesting designs. Okay, so these are now dry. So that's the original one I made. Let's get things stuck to it. So they've been on the windowsill drying, and then I made this one as well. So I just drew, using my mat here, I drew lines. Can you see the lines underneath, going that way and that way? I thought I was going to turn them round a bit, which is why I did both ways, but didn't in the end. So yeah, so that's ready. So whilst I was waiting for them to dry, I did have a bit of a play, hence the state of my hands, but hey ho. So we're gonna do some stuff, do some printing. So I've done some printing, as I say, whilst I was waiting, using get stuck to the paper, using, that's a retired Stampin' Up stencil. So created that, bubble wrap on these. I've done some on book pages. I really like that one. And that one, I've done a few others. Oh yeah, I did that one. Lots of mixing of colours on that. And then when you I've got an envelope here that I use for brushing my brayer off, and sometimes putting some of those stencils on. So that will build up, and eventually that might be something usable. And I've got to the side of me, my brayers, I've got a Boots prescription bag, and I'm using that to roll off on right now, to see what I get. You sometimes get some interesting patterns. So I want to use these. I'm thinking I'm going to use the butterfly. Well, I'll probably use them all, to be fair. Now, I've done this before where I have used Stampin' Up! Reinkers to get Stampin' Up colours, and I've used this matte medium. When I was playing, I was just using my acrylic paints, which I've got this make, and I've got the Pebeo one. So, well, not just that colour, but lots of colours. So you can do it with different things. So it is easier to just squeeze on acrylic paint, which is, I think, what I'm going to go for. So I quite like these three colours. They remind me of Bermuda Bay, Gorgeous Grape, and that's a bit like Starry Sky. Well, actually, it's more like Orchid Oasis, actually, I think. So I think I'm going to go with them. That's what I'm thinking. So acrylic paint, just put a few dollops on. I often put too much on. So this is a 10 by 8. I think I said that before. That's why I've cut my cardstock down to be that size. So going to move on up. Not going to change the brayer, so we get a little bit of interesting blending going on. Liking that. So I'm rolling the brayer so that you do take it off, so you're not just rolling backwards and forwards, you're lifting it. So now what I do on the side here is I'll roll that on here to clean off, and it gives me some interesting mix of colours going on there. So we've got that. So now I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to, it's the same size, so I'm just going to press it down. Press it down so we'll get an impression of those butterflies, and that hopefully they should lift up. Yay! So where the funky foam was, it's lifted the paint. So that, oops, I think is very interesting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can just maybe get a bit of an impression, rather like a stamp. Not really. Not really at all, Jez. But, you know, that's fine. That's fine. Now, I could pick this up now and we would have a print with fairly white, well, it'd be white if you used white paper, where the butterflies were. Or what I can do is I can leave that to dry and then add another layer, which is what I'm wanting to do. So I'm going to leave that to dry. It shouldn't take too long. It's quite warm, so it shouldn't take too long before that's dry. Not quite dry there. So yeah, we'll just hang on a moment. Okay, so that is now completely dry. I can touch it and nothing's coming out. I've cleaned my hands. I have to do something. I can't just sit here. I just get too eager and I just want to get in and do something. So so I have to leave the room and do something else, because otherwise it literally is watching paint dry. So I want to put another layer over the top. Now, when we if we're building up layers, what's on there now, which is your first layer, will be what's on top of the paper that we'll see, and what I'm going to put on now will be behind it, if you get what I mean. So I was just thinking about the colour, and I think actually what I might do is just add these colours, but in the opposite way. So I might put purple down here, and then do the sort of Bermuda Bay colour further up. Yeah, I might not use that darker one. I think that's what we're gonna do. A little bit of this on there, and then we'll have this up here, putting it where the butterflies are, just because that's where there's no paint. I just splattered myself with that. Thank you, Jess. Right, so let's give this, and because this is dry, it won't wipe it up. If you did this and the paint was still a bit wet, then it would pull up what's down there, but it won't pull this up because it's completely dry. And it might well need some more paint. It's better to add more if needed. Well, it's not, it doesn't really make much difference, to be fair. Right, we need some more on that. Not quite enough. We need to work quickly. We do not want it to dry. Going to put some more along the centre. There we go. Yeah, now we're getting good coverage. Maybe a bit too much. There we go. So I'm going to take some of this off. So that's adding some nice bright colours. Need to do it more on the flat to that. And what I think I might do is get my bubble wrap so that the butterflies have a bit of texture. So pulling that back, and so now I'm going to take a bit of cardstock and I'm going to put that all the way over, and this is gonna pull our paint off. I call it a pull. So I'm using the whole of my hand to go over so that the warmth of my hand is helping with the paint transfer. You can go over it with a brayer. You can use, like, this is a really fancy lid from some vodka, and it's nice and flat, so you can use that. I like using the hand for the most part. So I'm pressing down to make sure I've got it on the edges, all the way down the side. It's 10 by 8, the Gelli print, and this is A4, so it's I was kind of thinking I could get probably 4 card mats out of this. So then what you can do is you just pull it up from the corner and you can see, yeah, it's coming up. So it's left some paint on there, but that's fine. So there you can see, we can see where the butterflies are. The bubble wrap print did come up in all of it. That's quite interesting. Wasn't quite what I wanted. And maybe would have been better off I just wanted the the impression in the butterfly. I think you see that better there than you see at the bottom. Can't see it quite so well at the bottom. It is about experimenting and seeing what you get. I could add to this now. Doesn't have to just be over. I can do other things, but if I think about it sort of isolated as a card front, I quite like these butterflies. This I could do something else with, but I like that there at the top. So we've still got bits of paint on there that could come up again with another pull. So I think I might add some different colours. I've got I think I got these in Aldi. I did get these in Aldi. So I might choose some other colours. I've got red and orange and green. How about that? Right old mixture. Not really colours I would normally use, but these were really inexpensive, so it might be a way if you wanted to have a little go at this, is buying these sort of little tubes of acrylic paint. It's a way of getting quite a number of colours quickly. However, the gel plates aren't cheap, so it's just if you have one and it's been sat neglected in the back of your cupboard, just sort of encouraging you to get it out. So let's put this along. I haven't cleaned my brayer at all. That my only cleaning is going on my bag, and there's a right old build up of colour happening over there. I'm going to bring this down a little bit so we've got a little bit of blending going on there. But before I get to the green, I want to take it off. So put a little bit on here. And now we can do the green there, taking it all the way up to the top. Coming down a bit. So that is that's a bit different. Now then, I'm going to do the circles. So the circles that you saw me make, we're going to stick that down. Let's pull that up. There we go. So that has given us some nice lot of circles, and I think what I'm going to do now is take that off without adding another layer, so you can see what that's like. So with the other one I let it dry and added another layer. So this is just taking a pull straight off without adding another layer of paint. It's quicker doing it this way as well. So I am still very much learning. I learnt from YouTube, and I have to say I love this. You take all day, use lots of paper. You can just, I mean, I'm going to make a card, but you can just put this onto copier paper, or I sometimes use the 120 GSM navigation paper, or did I show you? Just used envelopes as well that I'll use in journals. So pull this up. Now we see that has totally cleaned the plate. There's a few little bits on the edge, but basically that's cleaned the plate. So it's taken, so there were bits left behind from other pools. So that's given a really interesting look there, I think. And that's why I love jelly printing, because everything's different. It often doesn't turn out how you think it's going to turn out, and you've got residue left there from previous applications of paint. So we've got all this bubble wrap going on there, which I think goes really well with these circles. So I just think that just makes really, really interesting backgrounds. So you then run out of space as to where things are going to go. I'm going to use this one now, just because I can, and put a bit of red. This nice Bermuda Bay colour. This purpley colour. Oh, got it all over my fingers. It's not what I wanted to do. So I am gonna just carry on with this without wiping it off in between and see what we get. And you can pull it in the different directions. So got a right old mix there of colours. Just going to rub that on my bag. And I'm just going to wipe this off my fingers for now. Right, so before all that dries, I'm going to stick this down. Didn't quite go to the edge of my gel plate there, never mind. So there, we've got some really interesting patterns going on there, like that. And you can build up patterns from other things. So sort of previously I did this. That's really bright for me. So I might just lay this book page down, which is almost the same size as my jelly plate, and just add to that print that's already down there. And now I'm covering the whole page. It'll add to other bits. So pulling that up, so now that's not quite so bright and in my face. I've got some interesting things going on there, so quite like that. Going to add some more. Put some purple up this end. This lovely dark colour in the middle. I might go green. Stick a bit of green there, just to be different. So let's see what we get with this. And we've got layers from before there as well, So that will be interesting. Going to take a bit of this off because there's quite a bit on there. My paper bag is very grungy and almost unrecognisable for what it was. So now what I might do is I might do a mixture of pattern. So I'll have that going down there. That going on there. And we need to do something in the corner there. I'm just gonna, oh, it's smudged. See what we get. Let's just see what we get from that. So I've got other book pages that I went on. I've got a music sheet. Let's do that on a big piece of music sheet and see what we get. So you really can print on anything. You really need lots of paper ready, and some you might return to and add to at a later stage. This is really good for cleaning your plate off. So I'm giving it a good rub. And then we have a very abstract pattern going on there. Really interesting. I'll probably add things to that. But yeah. And I'm going to just see if I can take that bit off that didn't come up. Yeah. So yeah, quite interesting things going on. So you can look where the paint's been left. Well, you might lift some up. See, hardly anything came up there. So that is my printing. So there we are. I'm going to do a separate video on making the cards that I intended to make. But here are the prints that I did. I'd done that 6x6 one before. So whilst I was waiting for my boards to dry, I played with my 6x6 one just to try different things out. And I think these will make some interesting things. I could just rip them up and use them as collage. That was the little print that come up. I will add to it. So that was the one where I placed it differently. I will add to this. That's something Kerry the Crafter does. He has like a traffic light system. So if it's green, they're ready and off they go. If they're amber, they need working with. If they're red, they're nowhere near finished. That was me rolling off. Probably do something with that. I need to roll off on the other side, so I need to do more jelly printing, but that's always quite nice. I also went off and made some other things. I punched out some of these things. Got a whole pile here, some daisies and what have you, and I used those on here as well, which gave nice effect, as well as some different stencils. So that's quite interesting. There I just sort of went in at different points. That's those stencils again, used. Gives it quite a nice effect. I really like the way that turned out. That reminds me a little bit of peacock feathers. So like that. Needs a bit of working on. I might just use that as it is. I think that cut up isolated on top of a tag would be beautiful. Like that. Might add some colour to that. Really like that. I think that would be nice on a card front. And I'll just maybe do some ink blending to fill in those white gaps, or leave the white gaps. This was another me rubbing off my brayer, and also when I put the stencil on, so I put it on, it was ink that way down, then I just laid that on top and rubbed it off, so I got those sort of marks. And then once I pulled it off, I then put this down on top, and so we've got some interesting marks there as well, which I liked. Got some on that side as well. So it's just, that's just a way of possibly getting 2 for 1 when you're wiping off. Move that out there because I forget it's there. I added some circles to this one. I love that mix of colours. Again, that would be a nice sort of card front or tag front. I love the blending of the purples that have come out in this. Some of these were made with Stampin' Up! Re-inkers. I think these were all Stampin' Up! Re-inkers. And the matte medium. And then others were acrylic paints. These were acrylic paints. These were Stampin' Up! Re-inkers. So yeah, so those are all that I've made. So stay tuned. Well, have a look out for the video where I use the prints to make some cards. Okay, so that will be coming out on Saturday. I think this one's going out on Friday and that one's coming out on Saturday. Okay, thanks for joining me. Do like and subscribe, and I will see you again soon. Bye.